Hi, guys. It's the Mike Rogers Show. Mike Rogers here with you. Today we have part two of the interview with the world famous Miss Katie Puckrick. She's a broadcaster and newspaper columnist. She's a radio DJ. She's a dancer. She does everything.
I do everything.
A lot more than I do. Won't you welcome Miss Katie Puckrick?
Yay. I forgot to tell you, I also I'm a perfume expert. So I have a YouTube channel called Katie Puckrick Smells, and I talk about perfume and I write about it in a newspaper in London. So that's one of my little...
You're doing that now?
Yeah, I do that now. Yep. I like a lot of stimulus, like smells, flavors, beautiful music, sex. I like it all.
You get lots of free samples from well, I can't even tell you the name of these companies.
Yeah,
Chanel.
I do. I this is a free sample. I don't even know what it is yet. I haven't opened it, but yeah, no, I get I don't always want it all, but I need to know.
So, you know, in Japan, I don't know if Japan is so big on perfumes.
I don't think they are so big on. I mean, I think it's a thing of like taking up quite a lot of space with your odor, so maybe that's not relished so much in Japan.
Yeah, because I never smell perfume unless I go to the department store, and I walk through the first floor of the department store, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is like a Italian restaurant of nice odors. And
yeah, it's a little bit of a pileup. It's a bit of a like 17-car pileup of perfume.
So, okay, so you mentioned that you do a BBC radio show?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit of a flibberty-gibbet. I'm a little bit of a dilettante. So you could find me one day on BBC Six Music, or I'm often on Radio 4, BBC Radio 4, where I'm doing either cultural commentary, or I'm critiquing something, or I'm doing some sort of arts program. And then I also am a regular on Times Radio, which is based in London, but obviously you can get it all over the world. So that is more of a current affairs discussion show. So basically, I got a mouth and I'm going to use it. I got a brain. I sometimes use that as well.
But you're basically considered an expert, well, sort of an expert or sort of an expert.
I love your caution. I love your caution and your quotation marks. Go ahead.
I know how it is, like with, you know, broadcasters and stuff. So if you're going to interview somebody famous about some subject, that they need to have a caster or a host or an interviewer or whatever who at least, you know, has two brain cells put together and just knows stuff.
Yeah, two brain cells are good. Yeah.
So that's amazing. And then you in 1999, at age of 37, and I can't believe how young you look. You published an autobiography, Shooting from the Lip.
Yeah, so I wrote a memoir, coming of age, kind of the combination of it's bittersweet, it's sad, it's funny, it's goofy, it's me, the doofus, and all of my doofy colors and ways and modes. And I have to say, I remember struggling a little bit when I was getting my head around writing a memoir, thinking, oh, is this legitimate? Like, I'm only in my 30s, and should I, you know, am I entitled to look back on my life and make any sort of assessments? And I realize, now that I'm 60, I think, oh, thank God I wrote it. Yeah, now, you know, thank God I wrote it when I still remembered everything.
Oh yeah, like I told you, I'm 65. I should tell you something. I've been diagnosed with CRS.
What is that?
Well, it's a very debilitating disease, and they say you get it from your parents, and then as you get older, it gets worse, and then
I'm sorry.
And then you die.
Well, wait a minute.
ERS, can't remember shit.
Okay, I thought you were setting up a bit, but I needed to get my, sympathy face set up.
That's my American showing through.
Yeah, you're such a dude, Ventura Mike.
So did Shooting from the Hip, did it sell well?
Shooting from the Lip.
Are you gonna Shooting from the Lip? Are you gonna turn it into a screenplay or something like that?
Well, that could be a possibility. There is actually an idea floating around, whether I'll ever be motivated enough to see it through, but I have an idea about wanting to turn my Moscow years into something. So, which is a section of Shooting from the Lip, but no, it's funny. I sort of, sometimes I do projects and they're so satisfying and I am happy with how I realize them. And then I think, okay, I did that, and I move on. So I haven't ever sort of had a big idea about another book project. Although now that we're talking about this, I am working on a project that hopefully will come out by Christmas of 2023, which is a yacht rock compilation. So it's a 4 CD compilation of the best of yacht rock with a little book, accompanying book that I'm going to write as well. So that's through the BBC.
Yacht rock? What is
yacht rock? So yacht rock, this is the culmination of work that I've been doing in this area. So I did a series of BBC Radio 2 documentaries about it. And then I did a BBC television documentary about it a couple of years ago, 2-parter. And the whole idea, I mean, yacht rock is sort of a silly catch-all term that describes American West Coast music from the late 70s, early 80s. So think about Steely Dan, Michael McDonald, the Doobie Brothers, Hall & Oates, Christopher Cross, Carly Simon. So it's very burnished. It's very smooth. It's very like millionaires make out music. And it's music that just occurred organically in the system, in the scene in America, kind of as a response to the chaos that was happening in culture and politics. And interestingly enough, considering that we're talking about the Lust for Life tour that I'm going to be singing on, it's the complete antithesis to what Iggy was doing at the same time in 1977. So you would have had, Hall & Oates, and you would have had Doobie Brothers taking it to the streets, sung by the velvety teddy bear voice to Michael McDonald, and then you had Iggy lusting for life.
So you liked all of this type of music when you were a kid. I mean, you're a professional, so you're supposed to like all the music.
No, I did. I would be in my little my Toyota Celica driving the 15 miles from my suburban Virginia house into my parents' house into Washington, D.C. to go to the 9:30 Club to see Birthday Party or Psychedelic Furs or, Nico performed there one night, like just, amazing acts. And then, but on the way in, I'd be listening to Earth, Wind and Fire or, the jazzy soul stations or, Steely Dan. So yeah, I kind of, I do. I listen without prejudice.
Katie, if you drove the car and I was sitting in the passenger seat and we're going to see, like, I don't know, Birthday Party or whatever, and then you put in a Carly Simon cassette tape, I would have taken the cassette tape and thrown it out. We're not listening to this. We're not listening to this.
Well, and of course, you remember that time was much more tribal. I mean, people, because of listening online, people are much more wide ranging. I mean, teenagers will listen to anything from, Billy Joel to polystyrene and X-ray specs, for instance. So it's just it's kind of people, I think, when we were young, felt like they had to be more strategic about what they admitted to listening to. But fortunately, my best girlfriend used to go to Studio 54. She was a little bit older than I, and so we would listen to disco music in the car or yacht rock, and then pogo our hindquarters off once we got to the club.
This yacht rock, is this going to be like a CD,
Yeah,
LP? It's going to be the whole thing, and will you do a broadcast type of production with that too?
Well, I have to see if the opportunity arises, but right now the conception is that it is a 4 CD set, 6 album. There's going to be some vinyl, like a certain couple hundred copies pressed in vinyl, and I think that's going to be 6 records perhaps, or 4 records, and then the CD set, and then a book that I'm going to write, like a 5,000 word book, kind of talking through all the songs and why they're significant. And I'm picking across like total yacht rock bangers to things that are more deep cuts and more like smoochy after hours, after sunset type things. So I don't know. I mean, I would love it to turn it into a regular radio show. Like I said, I had a kind of a several yacht rock series on Radio 2, specials rather. And then I had this BBC 4 TV show that still, like, they play it, they'll rerun it every year for a month. You can find it on iPlayer, which is the BBC thing online. So anyway, all this flotsam and jetsam of Katie Puckrick's pop culture activities are floating around, whether it's clips of me on The Word in the 90s or my perfume reviews on YouTube. Yeah, it's funny. People who know me, like, you cracked me up, Mike, when you were saying the famous, because I'm so not famous, but within tiny little niches, like perfume lovers, they'll get excited when they meet me because, they want to hear what I have to say about perfume. But then people who know me from TV, they have a different experience.
No, you're very famous. I checked, researched you on, of course, first on Wikipedia, and then I checked some magazine interviews and articles about you, and I thought, wow,
who is this woman?
Okay, you're doing you're doing yacht rock and all that sort of thing, and then one day, Tony Sales Project, you get a phone call. Who called you?
The man who lured me into this crazy caper, his name is Tom Wilcox, and he's the entrepreneur, the impresario of this affair. And it was his crazy concept. He is the visionary behind it. He knew he wanted to do this project with Tony Fox Sales, and he wanted to tour Lust for Life. And he had this demented brainwave that I should sing it. I should front the project. And the reason why it was so crazy, it's not crazy I'm not saying I'm going to do a bad job, okay?
No, you did a great song on that. You did a great job on that song, Success.
Oh, thank you. But the thing was, Tom Wilcox didn't actually know that I was a singer. So he knew, he and I had worked together, and I had I'd hosted some events of his and done some interviewing and presented some things that he was doing. And I've worked with Clem before. I met Clem Burke, the drummer, the Blondie drummer who's drumming. We're so lucky to have him touring with the Tony Fox Sales project. So it was a year ago about that. Tom said, "What about this project?" And I went, "Well, yeah, I mean, it's a dream come true. It's like Make-A-Wish Foundation. However, are you crazy? Like, nobody knows that I'm a singer. Like, do you want to sell any tickets or what?" He's like, no, it's going to be fine. And in fact, I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Do you know that your song Success hit number 1 on the Radio Indie Alliance chart for 2 weeks in a row?
No,
you guys are number 1. Radio Indie Alliance. And
wow.
I don't really know about it clearly, but it's a association of like 100 stations from around the world, and they got together and they said, we need to make our own chart. And so they compile it every week, and you guys were #1 2 weeks in a row. The last 2 weeks in a row.
Wow, that is wow. That's a late life goal I didn't know I had, but I've achieved it.
I think, and you know, I'm I don't know if you know what I do. I am an indies punk underground DJ. That's the only thing I play. So when you talk about being fans in a niche,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Of course, I played you know, top 40 music before a long time ago, but now I only play indies music. So this Tony Sales project was right up my alley. So you are the singer of this project. Were you an Iggy or a Bowie fan?
All of the above. So I had Lust for Life, not exactly when it came out. I probably would have bought the album, you know, like around 1979 or something, or 1980. I definitely was a huge Bowie fan, huge Blondie fan. I saw the Parallel Lines tour in 1978 when they played Washington, D.C.
Wow.
So I followed Clem's work from way back when. And the thing, so I two of my favorite albums, high rotation in my collection, are Lust for Life and The Idiot, which Iggy had recorded both in 1977 when he and Bowie were living together in Berlin. And the thing I love about Lust for Life is that it's just so kind of raw-boned and rangy. It's so rock and roll. And when you compare it to The Idiot, which came out the same year, which is a little more arch and a little more detached, I think Lust for Life is just more rock and roll. Like he's kind of going back to his roots. And there's also a little bit of doo-wop in there as well, like in the backing vocals and stuff. And I was the one that said to the rest of the band, I would love, you know, for our single, because we had to think like, how are we going to promote this and what are we going to do? And I was the one going, please, can we do Success? Because I always loved that song. It's so like, it's the perfect summation of like clawing your way into the limelight, because it's so braggadocio, but it's so needy at the same time. It's like, please notice me. Like, am I good enough? And then, but also like,
here comes my car.
And here comes my face is the line that cracks me up. So it's kind of, it's like an earworm for me. Like whenever I get kind of a good job or a good project, or somebody calls me in for, you know, something cool that I want to do, I always say in my head, like, here comes my face.
Oh, that's
it's just
cool.
Yeah. So it really is just, it feels so natural to be doing this song.
So you guys are coming, you're coming to Japan first.
Yeah.
February 20th at Billboard Live in Osaka, and then February 23rd at Billboard Live in Tokyo. I'll be there at that show.
Oh, good. A familiar face, a friendly face.
So tell us about what can we expect on this tour?
Well, the thing about this tour is that you have people, I think every single one of us, and this is especially true after years of lockdown during the pandemic, we are just, you know, champing at the bit to get out on that course and, you know, just race around. So we are like, everybody is fantastic at what they do. I'm lucky and I'm the least experienced out of everybody. Like, I'll do a good job, I'll figure it out, but everybody else is just, you know, world league, you know, A-listers in terms of what they do. And so, but everyone is just desperate to play. So I think what you can expect is just a reduction sauce version of rock and roll. Like everything is just going to be explosively flavorful.
So you play 2 shows in Japan, then you go to Scotland, is it?
We go
Ireland?
not directly to those places, but we're going to Edinburgh in Scotland, and we're going to Dublin in Ireland. But I believe our first British gig is in Bristol, and then we've got the 100 Club in London, and then we ping pong all over the
Every
British Isles.
time I go to London, I stay in Bristol.
Why is that?
Well, I call her my aunt, but she's not really my aunt. She owns an Airbnb there, and I get to stay there for like £30 a day.
Right.
Which is pretty cheap.
Yeah. So then you commute into London, do you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and it's really nice. And there's a fish and chips place there. And I never eat junk food like that, but I love that place. So you're coming and you're going to play Blondie music, Iggy Pop music?
So the idea is, in a nutshell, is we are touring Lust for Life, the album, in its entirety. So that's going to be the first part of the set. And then the second part of the set is kind of a little sprinkling of tracks that the band have been involved with. So we go back in time to earlier Iggy stuff and forward in time from Lust for Life to some later Iggy stuff. And then we'll play a couple Blondie songs that Clem co-wrote, and then we're going to play some Tin Machine stuff because, of course, Tony was in Tin Machine with Bowie after he did some years after he did Lust for Life with Iggy, and David Bowie obviously wrote and produced and performed on both those Berlin albums with Iggy. So it's a little mix of different things. We get to do a hop, skip, and a jump around everybody's careers.
Have you ever worked on a Tom Wilcox project?
I haven't worked on a Tom Wilcox. I have worked on a Tom Wilcox project in that he's brought me in to host events. And I've interviewed Clem actually at a event that he staged at the Institute of Contemporary Art some years ago in London, and some other events, but I have not performed with Tom. And like I say, when I in our earlier interview, when I first moved to London in the 80s, my goal was to be a pop star. That's like, I need to do this. I'm all ready to go.
Job,
like that seems like a good career path. Anyway, finally getting there. I know it was 40 years later, but good things come to those who wait.
Yeah. Okay, so Katie, this
Mike.
is your last part. So you have to make a little commercial here, 30-second commercial for this show, and get people. We have to sell this show out.
Yes.
These two Japan shows, they must sell out. I told Tom, we're going to sell them out.
Okay.
So here we go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Lust for Life, the classic 1977 Iggy Pop album, realized, reinterpreted by me, who's having a midlife crisis live on stage. How can you miss the psychodrama? So you see me trying to harness the anger, the angst, the testosterone-fueled fury of a late 20s Iggy Pop. And you see it in me, reborn in a very zonked out, demented, yet somehow amenably entertaining lead singer. And then on top of that, you get world-class musicians. You get to see the legend that is Tony Fox Sales, legendary bass player, played with Iggy Pop, played with David Bowie. Then you're going to get to see Clem Burke, who plays with Blondie from the very beginning. And thank goodness he decided that he wants to throw his drumsticks in our direction. And then the rest of the band is fantastic as well. We have Kevin Armstrong, who is a guitar player who's worked with Bowie, he's worked with Iggy. I mean, it's a cornucopia of deliciousness, and it's fabulous. And it's almost like experimental theater, because who knows how it's going to turn out. So you got to be there and see that car crash.
That's right. So February 20th, 2月20日の2023年に Billboard Live Osaka、そしてもう一つは2月23日に Billboard Live Tokyo。ぜひぜひぜひ来てください。お願いします。Thank you, Katie Puckrick,
Thank you
for the great interview. This has been a very fun interview. I wish we could talk a lot more. But thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.